Hello, people. I am Josh. Welcome to the Afternoon Tune, and with me is my co-host here.
Dusk. Hey guys.
Hey, people, and we are just joining you today. So it's going to be not too long of a show. Just going to be discussing a couple of things. We're just going to be discussing No Time to Die, of course. Daniel Craig's final outing as James Bond. We're just going to be discussing the season finale for What If, and we're going to throw in some quick news. Just one news story we're going to talk about is the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer that dropped. So that dropped, I think it was yesterday, a couple of days ago. And so we're just going to be discussing that. So it's not going to be all that much. We got another show coming tomorrow where I'm going to be reviewing the movie Lamb that's coming out. It's this interesting
Ooh.
looking kind of horror film.
Yeah, the A24 one.
Yeah, so I'm going to be discussing that. Also, Nick is going to come in. He's on vacation right now. So he's going to be coming in with his review for No Time to Die, as well as his review for What If, the season finale. And also, we're going to be doing Ted Lasso season two. So that
Ooh.
the season two of that ended, and so we're going to be doing Ted Lasso. So that'd be pretty good. How are you doing there, Dusk?
I'm all right. I'm glad Nick's getting vacation. He certainly earned it.
Yes, he came to me, you know what I mean, as his boss. He said, "Mr. Josh, you know what I mean, can I clock out for vacation? Can I do some vacation time?" And I said, "Well, Nicholas, you've been working very hard here at the Afternoon Tune Inc. and I think you deserve it." So I approved his vacation time. I allowed him to take a nice little vacation, and he's
He,
enjoying himself.
he
And
came hat in hand, did he?
Yes, he did. You know what I mean? Just like in a like Scrooge, like a worker for Scrooge. There, just came in and hat in hand, and he said please, and I couldn't resist. I have a heart. Christmas is coming up soon, so I was like, well, hey, I'm a good man, so good boss. So I said, of course, Nicholas, you can have the time to spend with your vacation. So I approved it. I let him do it. So yeah, so he's enjoying himself, having a good time there.
Well, that's very generous of you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I try to be a great boss here. Over
Not
here.
all heroes wear capes.
Yeah, over here at the Afternoon Tuning Corporation, I try to my best here. So we're gonna get right into it here with the review for No Time to Die, James Bond, Daniel Craig. So Daniel Craig, like we said, is returning here. He's been James Bond for 15 years. I mean, can you
I
imagine that?
know.
Ever since dating all the way back to 2006 when he did Casino Royale.
Yeah, he was in
Uh,
his mid 30s too.
yeah, so he's been, with Bond for a while, over a decade. And, he's had a lot, Dan Craig's had a lot of, injuries as well as, him playing James Bond. Hey, how's it going there,
Ooh.
Silverbrand? How are you? We're just going to reviewing right now No Time to Die there. So if you've seen it, let us know. Let us know what you think. Hey, Nick. Nick is actually showing up, the host right there, co-host of the Afternoon Tune. Nick
Yay!
showed up in the chat as well. Nick, we were just talking about how you had that vacation, how I approved it, how you came to me, you know what I mean, and I said, Nicholas, I think that is a terrific idea for you to go on vacation, and I approve those days for you to go on vacation. So I'm glad you took them, very very much so there, Nicholas. So I'm glad you're enjoying your their vacation over here at the Afternoon Tune Incorporation. We run a good ship over here. It's very good over here. You know what I mean? We're paying people an outstanding amount of $0.00. You can't beat those rates right there. Just full terrific service over here.
Our
Uh,
corporation. Does that mean because I show up so little, I'm the Batman of this corporation? I just show up on the Bruce Wayne.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, pretty much. If you want to be, if that's what you think, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
You
take
know,
it.
you know what I mean. And I have no problem being Jeff Bezos slash Lex Luthor. You know what I mean, slash Elon
Oh yeah,
Musk.
by all means,
You know
you
what I
run your
mean.
ship.
I just got to cut off all my hair, be bald. I think I look pretty good bald. Get the whole shiny bald look going on.
Get the voice of Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah, voice of Mr. Krabs, head of Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty nice. That'd be a good, interesting combination right there.
It would.
Yeah. So with No Time to Die here, so James Bond must fight a villain here played by Rami Malek, whose whole plan is to basically create this virus that only affects people that you're genetically related to. So that's kind of how it works. So if and the virus can pass through different people, and then end up to its initial target. So if you have a virus that is intended for this specific person, you implant it in this one person, and then they can touch that person that was the target, and they can end up killing them. Is basically how it works. So it's kind of crazy in a lot of sense, but it's also what I mean. They do the whole thing. It's like it works with like nanobots.
Yeah, that's how they can explain away the ridiculousness.
Yeah, which I thought nanobots. I thought that was actually kind of like a done away with thing. Like you remember that was like a big thing in science fiction,
Oh,
and
it
actually,
was.
it was like nanobots. Like everybody wanted to talk about
It was in the
nanobots.
mid 2010s. Everything was nanobots.
Yeah, yeah, that was the reason for everything was just nanobots. So I was just kind of like, oh wow, they're bringing that back. So that was kind of something. And Rami Malek's character, his name is Safin, and he kind of has scars over his face and talks in kind of a weird dialect.
Lucifer Safin.
Lucifer Safin, and he talks kind of in this.
Not spelled the way that it is.
Right, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's got like a Y in there. You know what I mean. Added some, some flair to the name. Put a Y in there instead of just the regular spelling of Lucifer, and so that's kind of how the way that works. Also, here you have a new 007 that's being approached, played by Lashana Lynch, who since Bond is basically retired, trying to live a normal life, trying to live kind of just everyday life with his girlfriend, who's Madeline. And so, but things pull him back into the spy life eventually, as we all know, as such as these stories kind of go. I will say that, this kind of different stories Bond, having watched all the, kind of Craig Bond movies now, and seeing how kind of some of these movies have kind of gone up and down. Like I think Casino Royale,
Hmm.
good. Quantum of Solace,
Yeah,
not so good. Skyfall, good.
really, really
Spectre,
good.
not so good.
Spectre's awful.
Yeah, so I with these kind of movies kind of going up and down, this is typically the way it's going. It's like this one is supposedly for supposed to be the good one, given the track record
Mm.
of how most of these movies are supposed to go. What were kind of your feelings kind of coming into this movie? Are you a big Bond fan yourself?
I actually am.
Okay.
I have a genuine respect for the franchise as a whole. 50 plus years going on, still going on pretty strong. Still well liked, still well loved. It's really the only franchise I can think of, besides maybe Doctor Who, that they can have different people in that role and keep a character going as long as they have.
Mm.
Especially from he was a character created by Ian Fleming. Um, Famously, there was the TV movie that was made that nobody really remembers, but that was important. They did a TV movie version of Casino Royale very in the early days. It's not bad, but it's very quaint by stylings of current Bond movies and even like Sean Connery era. But Sean Connery is what put that character on the map. So much so that Fleming later canonized and he made James Bond Scottish.
Mm.
He later changed it because he was so impressed with Sean Connery's performance of his character. Um, so yeah, the whole and each different actor has given offered different approaches, from Sean Connery's more suave and debonair personality to being a charmer. Then there's been Roger Moore's kind of a little bit pulled back. Then there's the kind of the classy Roger Moore, and then there's the of course the one I remember growing up with, which was the Pierce Brosnan one. That one was where it was a bit more campy, so to speak, but it had a lot more to it. I like Pierce Brosnan his era a lot too, but it did get really campy by the end. And then which comes full swing to now the Daniel Craig era, which is very pulled back, kind of closer to the book character of Ian Fleming, which was a pulled back, almost an emotionless drone for the Majesty's Secret Service with MI6.
Okay. Yeah, and so I'm not a person who's read the books of James Bond. I've seen some of the movies, not every single movie of James Bond. I've seen some of the Connery ones. I've seen Pierce Brosnan was my first Bond. That's when I got into
Mm.
Bond. Died Another Day, unfortunately, was like my first Bond movie.
Oh,
And that's one of
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's one of the kind of the worst ones there. I know,
Yeah,
in the
that's
whole
high enough.
entire series. And so, with this kind of Bond, I think what it was doing kind of like very, when it came out in early 2006, like that's when you had kind of the height of, the Bourne movies that were kind of
Oh
out.
yeah.
And, I think it was trying to go for more gritty style there, with especially the brutality of Bond, him, the
Mm.
hand to hand combat fight scenes that he would have in the movie and things like that. So that's kind of one of the things I did kind of like about that character. And as the series has progressed with Craig as Bond, it's gotten a little bit more to what kind of people, because some people have all their different interpretations of what they like to see
Oh
from
yeah.
Bond. More of the gadget stuff, more of the cool spy stuff. The
Yeah.
planes and the watches and the all these special things that Q comes up with for Bond to have, and these classic Bond characters that they've brought in, like Eve Moneypenny, and then they've
Hmm.
changed them slightly in Q, who makes the gadgets for Bond. You have M in this, as Ralph Ray Fiennes here, who they do very kind of good things with these characters. I think this time around, more than I've seen so far in the Craig Bond movies, because like with Ray Fiennes as M, it's very kind of his situation being this leader, being a part of this government agency, trying to figure out what is the right thing to do and kind of navigate through this kind of system. And I think that's kind of very interesting. So they do a lot of, kind of things with that I think are very good. And, making some not so right decisions and judgment just being completely off of, maybe he's good, morally or not. And so I think that adds something to it. It's not just, hey, Bond, here you go. Here's a mission. Go do it. And then I'm going to stand back and then maybe comment every once in a while on what you're doing. So I kind of
Right.
like they give a lot more of the kind of stuff there for M there to do. And then also the additional Lashana Lynch here as 007, I think is really good. And a lot of people are freaking out about, her casting and everything like that. Like I said, Bond is retired, so 007 is a number. They say that in the movie, just a number. I mean, anybody could be kind of 007. It's just kind of a number there. And what I like about it kind of throughout the movie as well is that like I said, a lot of these older Bond elements that are there, and they try to kind of mix those in with kind of trying to be a more modern kind of Bond as far as updating the series. And there's so many moments like with his interactions with women in this, where the woman takes him to a place. He's like, "Oh well, I know what this means," and he starts kind of flirting, and she's like, "Oh no no no, what the hell are you doing?" You know what I mean? And it's like
Mm.
and there's kind of some funny moments like that. But I mean, he's in a committed, kind of relationship for the most part, with this person trying to get over a love. And from people I've heard talk about the book, and talk about the character, like Bond has always been kind of that way, as far as being someone who is very committed, especially, especially for women and in love for the most part. And, I want you to kind of comment on that as a person who knows about, is very knowledgeable about that kind of stuff. But even in this series of Craig Bond movies, Vesper Lynn still had a very big impact on his life. All these movies, you know what I mean? Vesper Lynn
She
was,
did. Even in
Vesper,
the books.
yeah. So that was kind of one of the major things there. So the women in kind of this movie and how they kind of, like people like Lashana Lynch, people like the Anna de Armas character who comes in there when he does a mission on Cuba, and she's only in the movie for that one scene, unfortunately,
Oh yeah.
because Anna de Armas did look absolutely stunning as well,
Yeah, she did.
and so did Lashana Lynch when she first shows up because he's
Oh yeah. And when she's in Jamaica, yeah.
yeah, when she first shows up, she's absolutely like the way they light her, absolutely stunning. You know what I mean? And then Annie Armas comes in, and she's absolutely stunning as well. But one thing kind of thing about that is they're very much partners, and they're working together, and they're allies, right? And
Mm.
with that, with Bond, it's that kind of thing, and there's that mutual respect. At first, it's kind of some antagonistic kind of relationship between him and Lashana Lynch,
Hmm.
007, and him. It's like, she's kind of poking him and prodding him a little bit. It's kind of like, well, aren't you mad that I'm the new 007 and you're not your old ass ain't
Yeah,
the
it's
007?
very it's very almost childish in a way, where it's kind of like, I'm the new lion on the block. What are you doing back here? Aren't you gonna take my spot back? And you can take a
Yeah.
spot back. And the old lion just looks at the young cub and just like glances at them and then just keeps walking. And that just pisses them off more.
Yeah, you know what I mean? She's very much kind of like antagonistic a little bit to him, but eventually, you know what I mean? There is mutual respect that is formed
Yeah.
between them, and I think that's very good. And it's like, allies, and respecting her position, respecting of what came before her, him being the 007.
Hmm.
She refers to him as, Commander Bond and things like that. So what did you kind of think about the various characters kind of throughout this movie? Because they bring in, they bring back Jeffrey Wright as Felix.
Hmm.
For instance, he also comes back in some new additions of some other characters, like we mentioned with Anna De Armas and Lashana Lynch. What did you kind of think about the newer characters there?
They were all. I think everyone did played their roles fairly well. Initially, with all the, I'm just going to talk about the outside of the movie first. Initially, all the trailers kind of had me a little worried. This movie's been delayed for quite a while. It was supposed to come out in 2020, if I recall. Supposed to be coming out in 2020, and then coronavirus happened, and that got delayed for quite a bit, and delays at delays. In the meantime, they kept showing similar trailers, and one of the most disastrous trailers, or what sparked up a lot of interest, is you feel this, oh no, like, oh no, she's going to be the new Bond. Oh god, it's going to be one of these where she's just punching down, and Daniel Craig's not going to fight back. He's not. He's just. They're going to make him into kind of a weak, like a weak character, and he's not going to do anything, and she's going to just show how much of a badass, how much better she is than the old Bonds, and it's just going to be a big insult. And that was what the trailers. I don't know who decided that was a smart marketing ploy to insult the audience who's interested in your movie. And with all due respect, even with the recent trailers, they went 100 different, totally 180, showing off that Bond still, at least, he's still a character. That wasn't what they were trying to do at all. I don't know if it was reshoots. I don't know what happened beyond the scenes. But all I know is when I saw the movie, I was I was surprised. I was surprised that she was given the characterization she was given because it felt very almost old school in a way. And I mean that in a good way, where she felt like a genuine rival, not an antagonist, just a rival, someone who slowly develops a mutual respect and respects kind of the older character, and there becomes a mutual respect between these two individuals, and that's something I don't get to see too much, especially in action movies as much anymore, or even just other media. And it was really nice to at least see that again, because I kind of miss that. I like characters coming together and pushing past their own like issues to become allies. And she's never, from the trailers, they kind of made her almost a little insufferable. She's never I was never She was never insufferable to me. If anything, my biggest problem with the movie, I have a few problems with the movie, but the biggest problem with me is there's so many subplots, so many things that are kind of set up in this movie, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes,
Yeah.
and it is agonizingly slow, and there is not enough for other characters to do. They have all these really good actors in really good positions, like we were talking before. The what I forget her name. What's her name in Cuba? Who looks
Palma.
stunning?
Palma.
Palma, yeah,
Palma.
Palma, absolutely stunning. Looks gorgeous in the dress. Kicks a lot of butt, and once her scene is done, she's out of the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel the same. I feel the same way. Unfortunately, with Rashawn, she shows up part of this movie. She's kind of there, and then she's gone. And you're like, well, why did you even have her in this movie? There's a lot of characters that just kind of show up as like almost like a wave, a high, and then they disappear.
So you thought Lashana Lynch did that? You think? I thought she was kind of throughout the movie pretty well. I thought she was dispersed throughout the movie pretty well.
Well, if you're gonna introduce this character, there wasn't really a lot of scenes where they were working together. Unfortunately, I don't want to know how much spoiler we want to talk about this movie, but there isn't. I didn't feel there was a lot of moments together. There's very few, other than the very brief moment that they meet each other initially, and the very end. There's a long swath of time where they're kind of next to each other, but they don't really. But there's like little snips at each other, but they're never. I don't feel that mutual respect really growing. It's just sort of, all right, I'm just going to decide to have this mutual moment, and I really needed to feel that, and it didn't really provide that for me. In addition, Mr. Robot, the villain,
Rami Malek there.
Rami Malek, yes, Rami Malek, very distinctive face as Mr. Robot. That's where I remember him from most. He's boring. he is absolutely forgettable. I could have. He could have just not been in this movie. He could have been a robot on a TV screen, and that he would have just as much effect that he did in this movie. He just kind of appears, and then he disappears, and then he appears again, and we get really all the backstory we kind of get about him is not from him himself, and it feels very, just very disjointed and kind of anticlimactic. And even the ending with his character and how it's resolved is very, very anticlimactic. Um, this movie has parts where I enjoyed it. It has parts in which I think really worked. The opening scene, really good action, nice car chase. Even though I've seen some stuff before, stuff like this before, I did enjoy it when they're in Italy, and I really enjoyed the Cuban fight. And then kind of after that, it's really a slow burn and not in a good way. And it
Yeah.
really takes its time, and it's really kind of going up its own butt about things. There's a bunch of jargon, which I know is par for the course for a Bond movie, but at least other movies made it more enjoyable. And the tone for this movie is wildly inconsistent. At some points, you'll have characters, and I think that's also an issue with this, some of the writers in the screenplay. I recognize one of the writers. It was, if I recall correctly, she wrote and created Fleabag, I believe
Phoebe
her
Waller
name.
Bridger.
Phoebe Wallace, yeah. She was brought in to kind of do add on and punch up, and you can definitely tell when it's one writer starts and another writer ends. You can definitely tell where one person ends and the other begins, because that moment with Paula, she shows up. That whole little moment of their exchange, and I'm like, that felt like Phoebe Waller dialogue. Very klutzy, very not sure of herself, very kind of snippy a little bit here and there. Not in a bad way, but very kind of very floaty, very comedy esque. Then action starts, completely different character. And that's even with the dialogue between Bond and other characters. It feels like he'll throw in a little joke here, a little there, and that very felt a lot like punch ups, little moments where they would punch up the script, add a little joke here, add a little moment here, add a little bit of levity here, add a little there, and then that only disappears in other moments. It feels a little inconsistent when you look at it from the bigger picture. At least that's from my point of view. I don't know what you felt.
I see what you're kind of saying. I mean, some moments with kind of the humor. So there's like one moment. I see what you're kind of saying, because there was like one moment with Lashana Lynch where like there's a moment where he's like, okay, I'm reinstating Bond as a new double O, and she kept saying double O what? Like she repeated
Yeah,
it like twice or three different times in that
three
same
different
scene. You know,
times.
as a joke. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And things like that. And that felt that didn't really get any laughs in my theater at all.
No.
There's some interactions between her and Bond that are funny, and the interaction you're talking about between when Bond goes to Cuba and meets Palma, who's played by Anna De Armas. Yeah, I mean, now that you kind of say it, I mean, I guess that does feel a little bit like, a little bit like that, kind of like that dialogue a little bit, because she's, her whole thing, her character is like she's a relatively new agent. And
Hmm.
she says, "I only been training for like 3 weeks. I'm relatively new, and I'm just kind of nervous." And kind of their whole kind of back and forth. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, the comedic stuff. It was fine. I didn't think it was too bad. But like you said, I mean, it was just kind of weirdly placed sometimes. Sometimes it
Yeah.
would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And they even
Right.
bring, and even in the movie, they do bring some of the Bond puns. He does make
Hmm.
some puns, you know what I mean, and things like that in
Yeah.
the movie. So they try to,
Which I
add.
believe is a kind of a very it's very rare for the Daniel Craig to have done those. He didn't really do it in his career.
No.
One of the very few times that I
Yeah.
recall him even bothering with it.
Yeah. So, they kind of bring puns there back to it, which I thought was, oh, okay, okay. Bringing, again, some of the classic elements of the
Yeah.
Bond, the puns, and everything like that back to the series. And this is directed by Kerry Joji Fukunaga.
Fukunaga.
And he did True Detective season 2. I think him as a director, them bringing him on, is a very inspired choice.
Hmm.
Because if people have ever seen him, he did True Detective season 1, which I was a huge fan of.
One of the, if not the best season.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah, the best season of kind of True Detective, and
He
that's
also did Beast of No Nation.
Beast of No Nation as well with Idris Elba.
Fantastic.
Great film there that you can watch on Netflix. So, I thought he was kind of a very inspired choice to kind of come on and direct a Bond movie.
Mhm.
And I thought that was a very interesting choice. I think a lot of the direction that he did with it was very nice. The drama stuff that they bring into it. The action itself it's fine. It's standard, kind of action stuff. There are some cool moments that kind of happen, like with the villains. There's a cool moment when they kind of go down an elevator with magnets that I thought looked pretty cool. There's some cool
Which
kind of
never comes back.
yeah, that never comes back. But I thought that was kind of a cool kind of thing there. Some assaults on some buildings I thought was pretty nice. The people
Yeah,
grappling
this.
behind it. It's shot very nicely, shot really
Oh
beautifully.
yeah, cinematography is very good. I know
Yeah,
where the action's happening. I know how it's happening. It's very structured. It's very good on that front. It's very technical, I should say.
yeah, and it works kind of very very well. And I thought so yeah, everything looked nice. The drama that was kind of influenced into it, like we talked about with the Ray Fiennes character was M, and
Mm.
we talked about with all these kind of other characters being introduced and kind of their whole kind of relationships. I thought that was kind of nicely done at some points. Didn't think it, this is 2 hours and 43 minutes, very
Yeah.
long. Didn't I don't think it needed to be that long.
No,
It,
for what the
it,
content's in there. No.
yeah, yeah, I thought it didn't. And then Rami Malek, good actor.
Yeah.
Him as this villain, not very, like I said, not very interesting. His whole kind of thing going on, backstory, how it
Yeah.
ties into Bond.
He
I
feels very insert.
Yeah, to some degree, and I just was kind of like, not that really impressed all that
Mm.
much. I mean, the only really villain from these Craig Bond movies that I really think is that memorable, honestly, is Javier Bardem when he was in Skyfall, and then
Oh
even
yeah.
Javier Bardem. I mean, that was a play on Goldeneye. What I mean, Sean Bean's character from
Yes.
Goldeneye,
Fair enough.
basically. You know what I mean? But a lot of Bond villains, they are kind of stupid in their way of their whole villain and plots and things like that. But at least try to be memorable. You know what I mean? If if you're going to be generic to some degree, at least kind of try to be memorable and kind of interesting. And I don't think Rami Malek was all that much. I thought he, not to say his acting or performance was bad, just the character
Right.
itself wasn't just, I think, all there to really work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, and his plan wasn't exactly making sense. And even for Bond villains, it didn't make a lot of sense how he got these people to work with him. With Blofeld, I got why people work with him. He worked on fear and he worked on tactics and he just monitors the whole world. With Javier Bardem, I understood why people would work with him. Even when the first in Casino Royale, he's just a smaller part of a bigger puzzle. I understand why they're working and why they're doing it. But
Mm.
with Rami Malek, I'm like, why are you guys making a poison in the middle of a Japanese island? Why are you doing this? What stake do you have to gain from any of this? Like, how are you like? It just doesn't. It's there's no practicality. I understand a couple of people, crazy people joining you, but he has scientists, he has fighters, he has all these other. You need to have a logistic reason why these people would join you. Unless it's like at least with uh shoot, I just forgot his name.
Blofeld.
Well, Blofeld. At least with Blofeld, fear and intimidation. I have your family. I can do this. You'll work for me because otherwise I'll take it all from you. Fear and intimidation. I completely get that, and he will monitor you all the time, every second. When you have just that big of a web of a structure, people fall in line. I totally understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just
I so to kind of wrap things up here.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was I thought it was good. I thought it was obviously much better than Spectre was. I think I mean you can pretty much only
I
go
think well, that's
up.
a low bar.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much only go up from there. I thought it was too long. It was way too long. I thought the villain wasn't that interesting. I thought that the ending though I thought was pretty satisfying. I thought that was a pretty good ending that they did. And I thought that was good. I thought the kind of addition of kind of these newer characters like Anna de Armas and Lashana Lynch, like if they continue with these Bond movies, I like to see them added to the Bond movies.
As like
And
cast people, other
yeah,
agents, other people. Yeah, I wouldn't
yeah,
mind.
like how you have Felix, Felix Leiter is a returning character who's like the CIA. He's the American CIA agent that sometimes Bond works with. I'd like to see kind of those characters kind of come back and make appearances. I thought that was good, but I think with this movie, I think it's fine. I don't think it for me it reaches the heights of maybe something like Casino Royale it does,
Mm.
or maybe something like Skyfall.
Oh yeah.
And I think that I still think it's good, a good interest in the Bond series. I would give it a seven, strong 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm a little torn. On the one hand, I see exactly what you're saying, and I can understand how you kind of got there. Well, there are a couple moments in the movie where if you individually take them out of any context and just individually show me these moments, I think, all right, the action's really good here. I like the cinematography. I could see the money burning on the screen. I could totally see how they spent all that amount of money for this movie. I totally get it. The cinematography is very technical. I don't think in any other type of Bond film this type of cinematography would work. I think you would need a lot more flow and a lot more movement if you want to do anything else. But with the Daniel Craig type of style, I thought it was a fine enough choice for its more militaristic kind of style that he's kind of focused on, and that's fine. It works with it. Daniel Craig does a good job, despite the material it's written from. I think he is giving it his all, and I really appreciate that he's putting himself in there. And I know how much he hates this role. I
Yeah.
know. He wanted to, he notoriously commented that after Spectre, he's like, I will kill myself before I make another Bond movie. Well, luckily he didn't have to do that, but they must have paid him a boatload of money to get him right there. But for
Yeah.
what it's worth, Daniel Craig, you did a good job.
Yeah.
That being said,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I said yeah, just with Daniel Craig. I think he has a lot more to chew on. Here, no
Very much
time.
so.
Acting wise, I think he's got a lot more to chew on in this one. What did you think of the girlfriend play Madeline? What did you think of that?
Madeline, the idea is fine enough, but that also goes into another an issue with the Daniel Craig Bond. They tried to inject him with a lot of emotion in this movie, and some of it falls kind of flat because it all hinges on the idea that these two are star-crossed, are lovers, and it's a tragedy that they couldn't find this kind of perfect life after the Spectre movie. And I'm sorry, no matter how beautiful the actress is and how kind of much she tries, I just don't have see any chemistry between her and Daniel Craig. I just don't feel any of it.
I
I
will.
don't. Go ahead.
Oh, I said that. I will say like when they do kind of a flashback at the beginning. At the beginning of the movie, and they show a younger her. The actress they got to play a younger her did look a lot like her. I will say.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give that. They had good doubles
Yeah.
characters, but and then when of course when it comes to the ending, I can see how two people are going to fall into two different camps. One camp is going to absolutely hate the way this movie ended. They're just not going to like how it ended at all. And then there's going to be other people like you, who are satisfied with it and thought it was fine and it's just a good way to end it for at least Craig's era.
Yeah.
Regardless of it, it's a definitive end. I kind of fall in the middle. Uh, I wasn't really satisfied by the ending, but I didn't hate it either. I understood why they chose to end it in that fashion, even if I wish they had done something different. But I understand why they chose to do that. At the end of the day, this movie has too many. It's a little too slow paced. It's too long for the content it's in. It's not given a lot of characters. The new ones that they introduce aren't not given enough time, and there's a lot of plot holes in this movie, even more so than some other James Bonds. But that being said, I did like it a whole lot more than Spectre. Again, low bar. So, despite all my issues with this movie, I'll give it an oh man, it's tearing me up. It's tearing me up. My love of Bond is tearing me up. But I gotta be honest. Whether or not I would watch this again, I'm gonna be honest. I probably won't. So I'm gonna have to give it a 5.
Really? Wow. 5. Oh, okay. 5.
I know, and I give that 5 because of I wanted more out of it. If this is going to be Daniel Craig's final show, I wanted more out of it. I wanted more from other characters. When you put it in that context, in the story, in the villain, I should have been I should have been blown away. And the fact that they've spent this amount of money, this was the story, these are the characters, and this is what you had them do. I I can't give it any higher than that, man.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I kind of see your points there. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I kind of get that. But the ending will be
It
something
has to be divisive.
yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what other people think, reactions and things like that. What are the thoughts on some of the things? But
Yeah,
yeah,
the fandom's kind of split right now. They're kind of it's almost becoming the Rise of Skywalker in a way,
real.
where the fandom for Bond is kind of split, where one half is fine with what they did and is fine, okay, and then the other half is like, what the heck? Why would you do this? So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. So moving on from No Time to Die, we're going to be discussing What If. So this was the season finale of What If here. So this was all the episodes about the Guardians of the Multiverse. The Watcher assembling a team to fight Ultron, who has all the Infinity Stones, who is about to destroy all of the multiverse. And so the Watcher assembles Captain Carter, Killmonger, as well as T'Challa Star-Lord, Party Thor, Evil Doctor Strange, and is anybody missing out? That was it, right? It was just those people, right? Yeah, just kind of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, later on, spoilers. There is an additional character that helps, of course.
Yeah, later on. So he symbols kind of the Guardians of the Multiverse, as he called them. And which is kind of what I think I said that before. I was like, that's pretty
Yeah,
much
you
what,
did actually.
yeah, I was like, that's what they're gonna call them. Actually, in the last review that we did for episode 8, I think I was like, yeah, they're gonna call them the Guardians of the Multiverse there. So it's kind of easy. Yeah. So with this episode here, they kind of brings all the characters that we've seen from all the episodes in the anthology series, and that so far they are connected, and they kind of bring them all together. What were kind of your thoughts on the episode? And I think, do you think like this was a good ending for What If, or did you think they should have just kept things separate for the most part?
There's really only a couple few ways they were going to end this. That they could, if they wanted to make a collective narrative. I felt they utilized the characters as what you would think they would do, and people make decisions you assume they would make, especially Killmonger. I mean, as soon as threat's out of the way, he's an opportunist.
Right.
So I think they did well enough. In all honesty, it kind of ended the way I thought it was going to end.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, team coming together to fight a big threat. I mean, I guess you could have kind of imagined you need something, that for the finale, kind of see where that's kind of going. It was nice to see, I think, some of these characters back again. Whether they'll continue with those characters, because there was good reaction for like T'Challa Star-Lord. There was a good reaction to Captain Carter. I think some of the different kind of stories that they did. I think they varied in some ranges. I think some episodes I was kind of meh on. Some episodes I thought were okay. Some episodes I thought were pretty good. And I think they kind of did get a good job. And this series, was also impacted by COVID. Some of the episodes were supposed to be longer.
Yeah.
That's why I felt like a lot of the episodes, I felt like, man, this needs like 10 minutes, 15 more minutes. So that was, COVID very much impacted these episodes in the length. It impacted the episodes as far as how many they were supposed to be, because as you noticed, I forgot, there was also Gamora. I forgot Gamora as well.
Yeah.
That's who I forgot. Talking about the lineup that the Watcher assembles is like, so there was supposed to be a Gamora episode, but because of COVID, we didn't get to see that episode. Because you see here when the Watcher goes to recruit her, that Iron Man is with her and he's in this suit, so he's hanging out. So that was kind of a episode that we didn't really get to see. So I think some people said that they'll be in season 2, the Gamora episode. So so things like that. So the series, it's a shame that it was impacted by COVID is the way it was. So we some things probably didn't feel complete all the way. So I think that's a shame. Just like how a lot of these Disney Plus series were, like WandaVision, the finale, they didn't even want to kind of do the finale that they did, but COVID impacted it. It did the same thing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where there were supposed to be a lot more episodes of that show. That's why I think some of that kind of felt rushed, and the ending wasn't so good, I thought, with that. So hopefully, to see what they do next season and do more stories there. Yeah, I mean, with this episode, I thought it was good. I thought, maybe the episode 8 I maybe liked a little bit better. Just to see the whole interaction with the Watcher and the Ultron breaking through the multiverse at first, and the Watcher's complete surprise in that. Like you said, Killmonger is going to do Killmonger things. I mean, it's almost like you can just pin it. It's like, of course, that's what he's going to do. And the Watcher kind of assembling this team. Was it kind of a situation where the Watcher basically just saw, like, okay, he saw the future, what was going to happen, and it's like, okay, I need to assemble these specific group of people in order to accomplish this? Or was it like, because it couldn't really be almost like the most powerful people, because a lot of those people, the members of the team, were basically kind of human almost, just with some
Yeah.
enhancements like Captain Carter or
Right.
Killmonger or T'Challa. So some of them were mostly just kind of human, just with little advancements for the most part. I mean, so was it that the Watcher could just basically just see what was going to happen? And
So, from what I recall, the Watcher can see everything nigh, or they see everything, but they can't interfere. They've gotten into some loopholes before. The creation of Silver Surfer, as a nutshell, was because of a loophole, and one Watcher feeling pity for Anand Zor, also known as the Silver Surfer, and allowed him to tell him basically how to save his world. Normally, they were not allowed to do that, but he felt pity upon him and felt that that might be to the best. And that set him on his journey, basically, to become a servant of Galactus and inherit the power cosmic. And so the Watchers are also aware of when multiverses would probably screw up, and they would also try to minimize damage. So I'm going to be perfectly honest. He picked the best that would succeed and wouldn't screw up too bad,
okay,
if that makes any sense.
well,
Where,
so
you know what I mean?
so with Captain Carter, you need a good leader. I mean,
You do.
you always need a good leader. Like Captain America, like he's on these teams of the Avengers. You always need a good leader. So her kind of being there, to me, that makes sense.
Right.
T'Challa, Star Lord, okay, you need him to kind of steal the gem. So like he's an
Yeah.
expert thief, right? You need
Yeah.
that. Of course, Doctor Strange, he's the most powerful member of the whole team. So of course you understand
Yeah.
why he's there. He was the one that was really the MVP of the team. I mean, he was the one that was
Oh, yeah.
basically doing most of the stuff because he gave them a protection spell, and he was the one that was fighting Ultron with all these Infinity Stones. So it just gets to show you how powerful Doctor Strange can be. Especially consuming all these entities that
Yeah.
he
When he
did.
becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, so I mean that was kind of impressive to see. With Killmonger there, it just seemed like I guess you needed him there to make the betrayal. So that's why I think that's why
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Watchers tend to want to tie up loose ends if they can. And so that's why they would bring in. That makes at least an example of a. I'm just gonna make sure this is tied up, and he kind of did by the way of it. He got rid of a problem.
Yeah. So I mean, you could say that. Okay, I know, like the what's kind of gonna happen. The stones are just maybe too tempting, maybe, and I know Killmonger. I know his basic instinct of what he's gonna do, and because of that, it's gonna allow for this situation to happen, and that's gonna allow Doctor Strange to see it and to see what to see the decision he needs to make. So I mean, you can see that. And like you said, so the character that kind of gets introduced, so they end up going to this other, to kind of fight Ultron and try to lead him into another
A
universe.
barren universe, to be specific.
Yeah, and that universe, and that's with Black Widow, who's the only surviving person in the entire world, in the universe, that Ultron first got the stones, and you see kind of she's kind of the only person living in. And I thought that was kind of a great moment, and that's also you could see as a reason Captain Carter is there as well, because she has a relationship with Black Widow in the other universe where she's the Captain America adjacent type person there. And even this episode opens up with the call back to Winter Soldier, where where Captain America goes and fights Baron. What's his name? Baron.
Olaf.
No, the guy that.
Zola?
No, the guy that she fights at the beginning. The guy.
Oh.
I forgot the character. He's played by George St. Pierre. I forgot the character's name, but anyway, it was the opening of like the Winter Soldier, where Black Widow's teasing him about who he's gonna date, and then this situation is Peggy about different people in the office.
Oh, who later becomes Crossbones?
No, not him. Not Frank Grillo. The guy that she meets on the boat. You remember like when Captain America, he goes in Winter Soldier at the beginning, he hops on the boat
Right.
and
He gets on the boat and he kicks the guy.
yeah, he fights the guy. I forgot his name.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I forgot his
It's been a
name.
while.
But anyway, not important. But anyway, yeah. So she is kind of opening. So I can see that's another reason why Captain Carter is there as well, because she has a relationship with Black Widow. So she instantly knows the things to say to get Black Widow to trust her, in that situation. So you can say that's why another reason why she was there, because the Watcher saw what they were going to do with the plan, and then when they made the plan and them going to that planet. And I thought that was kind of a great, kind of action scene, on that, barren kind of world, especially with Black Widow using the Red Guardian shield and her using the, her Captain Britain shield, and just kind of, throwing it at, Ultron. And absolutely, I thought that was kind of looked really good. And then Thor, I mean, he's just as still stupid as ever, just swinging the hammer, having a good time, you know what I mean? And I mean, just using all his kind of powers and abilities. What did you kind of think about the action in this episode, and compared, especially to the other episodes?
It carried itself for the most part. I thought the action was like you said before, Stephen Strange just carrying the team with all his different spells and stuff. That was kind of nice to see. Although the action, although I gotta say, I kind of liked the previous episode a little bit more in its action.
Okay. The Watcher versus Ultron.
Yeah, that was just a highlight so far for me.
Yeah. I wonder why didn't the Watcher kind of get involved in the fight? If they were fighting, I wonder, because he's already
So
yeah.
the Watchers are really supposed to never interfere. He only fought back because Ultron discovered him. He would have let the whole universe just wipe out, and he'd be sad. But they can't interfere. The only reason he fought back was that Ultron was like, "What is this?" and then broke in. And so he didn't have a choice at that point.
So with this, it's a situation. I mean, but if Ultron's threatening the entire multiverse, I mean, what is the Watcher gonna watch? I mean, if there's no
So
more.
the Watchers are here to certain rules. They very rarely break them. If anything, there's actually two beings above the Watcher. There is there's the one who I forget who is like this is the one above, and then the Lily man above, and with a snap of a finger he could just undo all of that if they felt like it.
So is the Celestials, are they above the Watchers or no?
The Celestials are about the same power.
Okay.
The Celestials are about the same power levels as power level Dragon Ball Z, same level whatever. And then there's a being above the Watchers, and then there's a being above that who's basically Marvel God.
Okay.
And they're like the being that created everything. They don't really have a form, but whenever they have shown up, has occasionally shown up as Stan Lee as like a joke, like in the comics. He's shown up as to being like the god of Marvel in comics. Or shown up as that. That's why when I saw that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where he's just hanging out with the Watchers and he's just talking, they're like, oh, that's like the being of the Marvel universe just talking to him, and that's why they're listening to him because they're like they can't say no.
Yeah. So, that's okay. That's pretty interesting. Actually, to see
So
it. Yeah. Oh, good.
I don't. So honestly, I don't know if they're including that in. I don't know if that's it, but that's in the comics, so I'm told. I assume if it was going to threaten everything, again, their hands are tied. They're not supposed to interfere. But if it really pushed to it, they can only do as they're told. If being above them told them, yeah, okay, do it, they'd step in.
Mm.
But
Okay.
until they're told otherwise, and bear in mind, from what I'm told, they're not told what to do very often. They're just set. You do this, go off. Most of the watchers won't abandon the post. Very few of the watchers even have names, and those are the ones that some of the Marvel characters get to know, and they have slight personalities and why they might budge a little bit.
Mm. Okay. So for like season two,
Hmm.
the kind of the writer creators have said that season two they're going to introduce more of like the phase four stuff. So we're going to maybe see kind of older stuff involving that. Like now we see with the phase four stuff like WandaVision and Shang Chi and with Eternals coming out. So we'll probably see more stories kind of about those characters, the newer characters that we've been kind of introduced to with that and kind of see where that goes. So, with this kind of episode and overall with this kind of season one, what kind of your feelings about What If? And, whether you'll be interested to see, more kind of season two and things they can improve upon in season two.
Mm. I I think they have a solid start on it. They gave some interesting what ifs. I'm curious to see what other kinds they'll go into, what kind of experimentations they might go into. For the most part, it it more comes down to unfortunately budget and time. How much can they get involved? How much can they do?
Hmm.
If that makes any sense. It really is up to them. What ifs can go as far or as little as their imagination.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stories in What If Marvel.
Yeah.
So really it's up to them. I would like to see a little bit more focus on other characters than these kind of characters. I would like to see other what ifs or characters or villains that survived things for other issues besides Killmonger. I would like to see different aspects with other characters if they're willing to do that.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Um, in a way, I'm kind of trying to find the way word. It just a little kind of disappointed by the fact that they have to kind of stick to the MCU stuff. So they can
Yeah.
only kind of introduce characters from that world. So they can't go off and make all these different what if stories about stuff from just purely the comics because they only really are
Right.
just interacting with. So they can't do like a Fantastic Four. They can't do like a Silver Surfer. They can't do like a different X
Right.
Men type stuff like that. They can only stick to kind of the characters they have right now. So it is kind of limiting in some fact of a lot of stuff they can do as far as the what if goes, which I think is a shame. Um, with this kind of season overall with what if it being hindered by the COVID stuff, the episode lengths and the episode kind of number, it's supposed to be 10 and there's only 9 here. That's a shame. So hopefully season 2 that they'll kind of be back and hopefully none of those issues impact season 2 as far as the storytelling goes and everything like that. With this final episode, yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it's one of the better episodes of the season. Good, rightfully so for finale. I like maybe episode 8 better, just because of kind of what was going on there and kind of
Yeah.
the stuff that especially Ultron did with the powers, like eating the planet and eating the whole entire galaxy and things like that. I thought that was like really really good. There's some good moments here too. Of course, we talked about Black Widow and Captain Carter teaming up and them throwing the shield. They were treating him like Iron Man and Civil War. They just throwing the shield off his head, and you know what I mean. I thought that was kind of very good. The power of seeing of Doctor Strange and all, kind of, his power was, I thought was very good as well. Some of the humor stuff, I mean, we've been seeing this kind of throughout kind of the Marvel stuff. And then with this series specifically, it's just kind of, a lot of the jokes maybe not work and maybe don't really fit the seriousness of the situation all the time.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Or kind of like we mentioned, Party Thor coming in, still dumb as ever, you know what I mean? Just not fully. It seems like addressing the seriousness of the situation. What did you kind of think about the humor in the episode and throughout What If?
I think you said it. It's kind of hit and miss. Some of it kind of worked and was nice for a bit of levity, but other times it was kind of distracted me a bit from it and how serious this is.
Mm.
I'm fine with lightness and just, but Ultron having all that stuff is a legit threat to the entire multiverse.
Yeah.
You might want to take it with a bit more seriousness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was, yeah, very good episode. Overall, I would rate this season probably a 8 out of 10 for me. Strong eight, light 8 out of 10 for me. What about you?
Kind of fall between a 6 and 7.
6 and 7. Okay. I see that. Um, oh, hey, thank you, Javon Good. Hey, thanks, man. Played the afternoon tune delight there. That kind of scared the shit out of me there a little bit. There, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "What the fuck is that sound?" I was like, "Oh, hey, thanks, man. Yeah, thank you." Um, yeah. So yeah. So why would you kind of give it a 6 or a 7 there?
Uh, just different stories. Some of them were better than others. Some of them had characterizations that were kind of neat to see. Others were limited by what they could get away with. Of course, COVID kind of comes into it, and it's nothing bad. A 6 or a 7 is not a bad thing. It just means either it's slightly above average or it's good. It for what they are, for what it was. I thought it was the whole season as a whole. I thought that it was fine, good. It falls somewhere between 6 and 7 depending on the episodes.
Okay.
Overall, I take the median average.
What were some of your favorite moments from the finale? Buddy?
I liked. I just liked. I liked some of the banter between some of them. I liked when. Trying to think honestly. There's a couple of good moments.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. They when the Watcher sent the Black Widow from basically the universe with no
Oh yeah, the
existence
oh
to
yeah, the ruined one.
yeah to basically so it paid off the one that we saw like in the Loki episode where he took over where the Hank Pym basically killed most of the Avengers and it was Captain America and Captain Marvel fighting. And then now, but Black Widow came into that universe. It did kind of think
Yeah,
like Nick Fury just instantly knew, like, well, I know you're not my Black Widow. You're from this old other separate universe. Well, okay, that's kind of like he just instantly. I mean, I get that she's dead there, but it was like, okay, how do you, know all that already? But it's like, okay, that was kind of cool. I thought that was pretty nice. And potentially, is there any kind of universe here that you would like to see them go back to in season two?
Party Thor.
Party thing. Okay.
I'd like to just because it's the goofiest one, and I would like to see more adventures of just Party Thor. He seems like a cool guy to chill with.
Yeah, yeah, very fun. Yeah, very fun to have a party. Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, Marvel meets Project X right there.
It really is.
Yeah,
He's gonna ruin your entire house, but hey, man, you can get a cool party out of it.
yeah, have some fun. All right. So moving on from discussing what if there, gonna discuss the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer, which is the final topic we're talking about for the day. Dust, since you're the big Resident Evil guy, I'm gonna let you kind of take it away. And I'm gonna put up the trailer. So if you wanna
Mm.
look on the stream, pause at any moment. Let me know. I can do that. So let us know what you think about the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer as the big Resident Evil fan there.
Oh boy, I have been a fan of this franchise for quite some time. I started playing the initial PlayStation games way back when I was a wee lad. Way back before I was probably permitted to do so, thanks to my local blockbuster. Along with franchises such as Soul Calibur and Soul Reaver, which I fell in love with the Legacy of Kain franchise, which is another another time, but that's also a great one. So I played those initial games, and I it just hit me at the right time, at the right age, and that allowed me to then rent other games such as Code Veronica X, and then Code Veronica, I should say, and then moving on to Resident Evil 4, which was really big for its time on GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox. It's like Xbox later on the Wii, and later on PC. That was probably the big moment for the franchise. For some Resident Evil fans, that is what killed, saved and killed the survival horror franchise was Resident Evil 4. And I can understand both feelings on that. I was so excited for Resident Evil 5 that I would read magazines and I would wait in anticipation of what the next game could be and what it was going to be about. And then when I finally got it, it kind of hurt a bit. And I ended up waiting until the gold edition to fully complete it when the AI had improved. I never, unfortunately, after 5, I felt like the story was kind of done and I didn't really see what it would make a 6. But they did, and I saw some of it. I never actually played all of it, and it's kind of a cluster. It's not very good, but that doesn't change my love for the franchise. So much so, when I was a lad, I would wait. In high school, I would take up computer time, and I would look at the Wikipedia, the wiki, fan made wiki of all the different zombies and all the different monsters, and get as much information as I could before I rented the games at the store. That's how I learned how to do certain tricks at Resident Evil Outbreak 2, or how I learned about certain tricks in RE Remake, which is still my favorite remake of any game ever. It's what I consider the gold standard of how you remake a game. When you want to take an old game and how you improve upon it and make it the definitive version, I consider RE Remake the gold standard. I liked Resident Evil Zero despite all its flaws. It has some flaws. It's
Mm.
very close to being a really great game. It just has some small issues that keep it from being that. And then with the more recent games, of course, the Resident Evil reimaginings of 2 and 3. I don't call them remakes because they're not exactly remakes. They're reinterpretations of the games. And that's not what I was interested in. I wanted a definitive version of the original stories that were surprisingly done better in the Dark Chronicles for the Wii game, which is a rail shooter. But to say I'm a big fan of the franchise would kind of be, I guess, an understatement.
Hmm.
And I've seen the previous other movies, included with Alice from the wife of director, played by Mila Jovovich, the wife of director Anderson, uh,
Mm.
and now with this recent movie, I am. It seems to me very clearly that there is some lip service being paid to the franchise. From a lot of the scenes, I can see they got the costume design fairly well. There's a point in which the mansion from the first Resident Evil game shows up, the red carpet, the architecture of the room, very close to it. But aside from everything else, it doesn't really feel like the Resident Evil story, if that makes any sense, from the trailers.
Okay.
For one, the story seems very different. Claire getting told by somebody else what to do and how to get there by a strange doctor. That's not what happened in the games. Claire was actually coming back to Raccoon City to look for her brother. She was coming back from college, and she was coming in to visit him after the incident in the first game. And then when she arrives, and that's when the incident happens. And Leon, it's his first day on the job as a rookie, and he gets caught up in everything as well. And he's trying to make his way to the police station, and that's how they intersect between Claire and him. I'm curious to see how they're going to do this, but from what I can see, it seems like they're trying to blend the stories between Resident Evil 1 and 2, and try and see to make like a jigsaw version of different pieces. So
Because
I'm
Resident Evil
curious.
1
You go
and
ahead.
2 takes place on the same night, right?
No.
Okay. Which ones take place?
Resident
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 1 takes place a couple of months before Resident Evil, a month or two before Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 and 3 take place on the
Ah,
same day.
okay.
Resident Evil 2 is with Leon and Claire. Resident Evil 3 is with Jill, and it's from her perspective, also from being in the original game, and what she's doing in the time that Raccoon City gets infected. which is also an underrated game. I really love Jill's character in the third game, and I'm disappointed with how they handled her character in the reimaginings, along with Claire as well and Leon. So we'll see if their characterizations are a little bit closer to the games, which are really much better, or if they're going to go the same route and keep the same writing they have for those most recent reimaginings.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. With Leon, so it is kind of weird that he's very distinctly known for the blonde hair, the
Yeah.
kind of the boy band kind of look, and they got the guy from Victorious to kind of play Leon, dark haired and everything like that. Yeah, very kind of weird cat. I don't know why they
Yeah,
kind
the
of did.
casting has also got. I was and gonna try to work up to that, but I wanted to address all the other things before
Okay.
because I know people, they talk about, oh no, you're just a racist or whatever if you don't like whatever casting. I thought that guy who's playing Leon just doesn't look at all like Leon, even if you would with him with brown hair like he was kind of in the original game. That slowly became more blonde as the series progressed a little bit. It was like a light brown,
Okay.
depending on which version. It goes between either chestnut or light brown. They've never been consistent on that point for him. But regardless, he had a certain characteristic in those games. He would make a great Javier in for Resident Evil 3. I think that guy would have played a really good live action Javier who helps out Jill. I think he looks really good to play. Shit, it's not Javier, is it? I am. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. He's the guy with the curly hair who he's one of the few survivors from Resident Evil 3. I can't believe
Hmm.
I can't believe I'm blanking on him. How could I?
That's no worries there.
My no, my license. My official is a Resident Evil license. It's gonna be they're gonna take it from me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hold on,
Can't
Javon
believe I'm
Good.
doing
He's in the chat. He's a big Resident Evil fan. Maybe he can help you out.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Phone a friend.
yeah, Javon Good. If you know, yeah. If you know the guy that Dusk is talking about, the guy with the curly hair, you said from Resident Evil 3.
Yes, curly hair. He not all he's curly hair in the reimagining. He actually had straight hair in the other one, but
Okay.
I mean, beggars can't be choosers. He's the only other Carlos. Oh my God, Carlos! Thank God. Yes,
Okay.
he could go for a kind of a good Carlos role, Carlos Oliveira.
Okay.
It
Um.
also seems like they might be Nikolai in this one too, which he's not a character until Resident Evil 3. So it's like they're throwing all these different characters in. I think maybe one I even saw maybe a guy who looked like Claire's
Right.
brother, also main character
Uh.
from the first Resident Evil.
So Robbie Amell is playing Chris Redfield. Robbie Amell. He was in
Okay.
he was in the DC show. He was in the Flash.
Okay.
Where he was at. He was in a movie called Duffy. I remember him in.
All right.
So he was in there. Yeah, he's been in kind of stuff like that before. You also
Ah,
okay. You
go
also
ahead.
have Hannah John Kamen, who plays Jill Valentine in this. She was the villain in Ant Man and the Wasp. She was Ghost in that.
What?
Yeah, so she's gonna be Jill Valentine in this.
What is this casting?
Yeah. Also, so yeah. So you also have Neil McDonough here, who's playing William Birkin. Is he from the video game?
Yes, William Birkin is the scientist who created the T and G virus. He
Okay.
infects himself with the accidentally injects himself, depending on the interpretation. In the best interpretation, he accidentally is injected with the T virus after he tries to protect it. He's accidentally shot, and it just kind of gets on him, and he becomes his own creation.
Okay.
Uh, his wife is in the second game as well, and she tries to help out. And they have a daughter, Shirley, where she's a big character with Claire and Leon, where she and Claire develop a really good bond, and it's one of the more heartwarming aspects of those games, and explored very much better in Dark Chronicles than in the Resident Evil 2 reimagining, it, which is weird considering it's a real game and it's all see cutscenes, but you end up feeling more for those characters throughout the game, and he's trying to get to his daughter because it's like one of the last fletchling aspects of his character, and Yeah, I could go on, but yes,
Yeah.
he's a character in the Resident Evil
Yeah,
games.
Tom Hooper, who's from Umbrella Academy, he's playing Albert Whisker. So, do you know any?
What?
Yeah, that's what it says. I don't see Nikolai, like the character Nikolai. I don't see him listed in
I
here.
thought maybe the white-haired guy, he might be Nikolai. He's a bad guy in Resident Evil 3. He betrays the group of mercenaries.
Yeah, I don't see him listed here.
Again, I didn't look at the cast list. I was just looking at the trailer and just seeing what I saw.
Yeah. So, do you know like anybody kind of in this film that isn't playing like as an original character, not from the games?
Uh, no. What the? Okay. All right, I'm looking at the cast list right now. They're bringing Lisa Trevor?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay, okay. Whoa, this is all over the place.
Okay. So,
This
who
is
is Lisa Trevor to
so
the
Lisa
rest?
Trevor is then the first game takes place in the Trevor Mansion in the first game. You find out she was introduced in Resident Evil remake, an remake. She's an added addition to the game, but a very good addition. She explains why they have such a laboratory inside the mansion. The reason it's there is because Lisa Trevor was a very her individual. She was the daughter of the Trevor family and George Trevor, who was an architect behind the Arkley Mansion, which was Resident Evil and Zero, and the Queen of Zaboya cruiser, and he had a wife, Jessica, and he was the guy who created all these different structures, and he also worked with Spencer and a couple other characters, but he got betrayed by George, and unfortunately his daughter was used for genetic experimentation, and they were ended up kind of trapped inside this mansion, unfortunately. Even though he had given all this he could to Umbrella and all these aspects, and Lisa was this unfortunate victim who kind of got turned into this horror or this abomination. It's but because of all these different experimentations, she's like a boogeyman that chases you, and she cannot die. Like you can shoot her as much as possible in the games, and she'll be down for a bit. She's like a prototype that is later utilized in how they get the G virus and later the Tyrant virus from her. So she's very important in creating a strain that Wesker later injects himself with that allows him to be keep his semi humanity but increase all of his power. So she's very important to the history of Resident Evil and the Trevor family. But why the heck is she inside a Resident Evil like 2 mostly cast? Like you have Ada Wong, you have Chris Redfield, you have Jill, you have it's like they're combining 1, 2, and 3 into like a movie. What like how you can't fit all the characterization and all the story for each game. Each game alone I could fit 2 movies with or a little mini series. Like each game itself I could fit like a 4 episode mini series, each being like an hour long. How are they going to fit this into a movie? I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like like you said. I mean, TV show probably would have been better if they're trying to fit it, everything into this. Maybe, possibly. What do you think about the look of everything? Like, do you think like
All
some
right.
people say the mansion looks kind of small?
Yes, the
The
mansion looks very small.
Yeah, looks very kind of cheap in a way. So, what do you kind of think about that? The look of it.
So I'll give it to James Wan. Um, I'll give it to a couple of people trying to work on this thing, or who at least showed interest. Uh Costumes look fairly authentic. I still think they missed the whole point of the Claire outfit, which no one seems to get past circa 2000 something. No one like she's supposed to wear kind of biker esque stuff on the outside because that's it's the whole point is that you think she's going to be this tough kind of character that is the sister of Chris Redfield, but she ends up being like a very strong and very kind of good person on the inside, and that's supposed to play on initial outward appearance. And she's wearing like just a red shirt. and maybe like not
Yeah.
even cut off jeans like she did before. She doesn't even have her knife that Chris Redfield gave her as a defense.
Yeah.
Because
I have a
I don't
picture
know.
pulled up right here, like what she's wearing.
Hmm.
Pulled up a little on stream. Okay. Yeah. What about everything? What about how all the other characters look? Like Leon, like his outfit, Chris's
The
outfit.
outfits look. The outfits are the most. The outfits and the monsters are the most authentic thing about this trailer. If I'm going to be completely honest, from what I've seen, for what I watched, they're the most authentic part. But this seems only skin deep. I doubt we're gonna get the nuance of the characters. I doubt I'm gonna get the story that should be told and how it should be told to really explore the different aspects. I mean, you're gonna go to Resident Evil 1, you're not even gonna put Rebecca Chambers in there. I mean, fine, whatever, but she is a fairly important character for the Chris route. And she's a major character later in the franchise in Resident Evil Zero. She had her own game along with Billy.
Hmm.
Uh, the main players are here mostly for Resident Evil 2, and then they just threw in Jill Valentine and Chris. Um, where's Barry out? But where's Barry? Like Barry's not even in this. I know he doesn't. He shows up as like a special ending in 3. It's one of my favorites in the original third game, but he was one of the stars member that was in the first game. He's not on this list apparently. I mean, he might do a cameo. Who knows? But I doubt it. I no. The costumes look fine. The monster effects look fine for what they are. I wasn't expecting a lot.
Yeah.
Everything looks fine, but
$40 million budget. This movie has 40 million.
Jesus!
Yeah.
And they're gonna waste it on this?
Yeah. Guess so.
I mean, I, I'm gonna watch it because of course I am. I'm gonna watch this movie, but
Yeah.
it's the old adage, Josh. At this point, I look at it this from what I've seen, what you told me. I have to follow Kratos' advice from Dad of War. Keep your expectations low, boy. You'll never be disappointed.
This is coming out November 24th. Who's directed?
Right after Halloween.
Yeah, right after Halloween, everything
Oh,
like that.
Jesus.
Johannes Roberts is directing this. He did movies 47 Meters Down. Is the one I know him from. The Strangers Pray at Night. I've seen that movie as well. So he's kind of done things like that before. So not anything really big before. So he's kind of done.
They gave him $40 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, adapted from the stories of the first and second games by Capcom. It is a reboot for the franchise. This is the worst route they could have gone. One of the worst routes they could have gone for this.
Yeah.
I you, Maybe you could have done this with 2 and 3 because they take place on the same night.
Right.
Like in the same night, you can maybe do like, all right, we're just gonna make a big long story for 2 and 3. You could focus on that, but there are too many characters here, and nobody's like. It seems like there's not a lot. Like you think to yourself, oh, there's only Claire, Jill, Chris, Albert, Leon, the chief of police, William Birkin, Ada Wong, Richard Eichen, and Lisa Trevor. There's only so many characters, but each of them comes with a history and a characterization and a point in the story and the games. And when parts of them come from different parts of different games and you're all trying to cram that into one game, like
Yeah.
that also destroys any hope of me getting an actual good Resident Evil 3 movie. Because they're just going to throw Jill in here and then they're just going to escape and we're never going to see her side of the story. We're going to see her characterization. We're never going to see her personality or what she was doing on her own for a lot of it with her and Carlos,
Yeah.
who helps her out. We're not gonna see her how she escapes on her own, along with the help with Carlos and Barry in some of the endings, or how she dealt with the tyrant, Nemesis specifically.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, it seems like they're going kind of a different direction with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna watch it when it comes out November
Hell yeah.
24th. Check it out.
And
Review it. Javon
put in
Goods.
the chat if you want me to tear it up. If it sucks, I will happily tear it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'll come on for the review and everything like that. Hopefully, we'll
Absolutely.
get Javon Good, who says he's a big Resident Evil fan. He's played all the
Ooh, I
games.
can't wait. I
Uh,
can't wait to talk to another Resident Evil fan. I'm definitely curious.
and he makes a point. He says he doesn't think Resident Evil 3. He says they didn't want to use the Resident Evil 3 story because Resident Evil Apocalypse touched on that already. Um,
Mm,
so that's
yeah, but Resident Evil Apocalypse was also not a good movie.
yeah. I mean the X Men movies. They've done the Dark Phoenix storyline how many times? They've done it like twice already. So
Right, but
so they can
I
do
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, they can do it again.
If they can do it again, we get the chance. You could do it actually well. This
Yeah.
just feels like a half-assed attempt. But hey, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe at best this will be like a Cliff Notes version, and it'll get people interested in playing the games.
Yeah, I still have to beat the remake, Resident Evil 2 remake. I still have to finish 7 and 8. I got those. I still have to finish those. I
You
haven't.
ever played the other ones?
I played them a while back. I played them when they were on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
Did you
And that,
play the RE remake, Resident Evil Zero?
no, I didn't play that one.
You should give those a chance.
Yeah.
They're quite good, despite their age. If you can play them on PC, there's a lot of good mods that have pardon my language, that have improved significantly the texture warping and done anti-aliasing and AI to smooth out the pre-rendered backgrounds, which I'm a huge fan of pre-rendered backgrounds. I think that's a lost art. And I'm also a big fan of Final Fantasy IX, which is one of my favorite Final Fantasies, and that's some of the most gorgeous background pre-rendered stuff. And there was also a modder who did a marvelous job of making that up-resed and beautiful, and I think that adds a lot to the tension and the air of those games when you have only a certain focus. I think that's a lot of people from Resident Evil or some to go more casual for the games. They make it third person, just like Resident Evil 4, but they can go back to that semi tank style. No one seems to remember the lessons from Code Veronica, where you can still have a focused camera, but Code Veronica added the ability to move the camera alongside you so you can see more. It added a whole different level of depth. Well, kind of blending of both worlds. But they never brought that back since that game. I would love to see that re-added back into other things, but hey, I've already taken up too much of your time. I
Right.
could go on for hours. I could pop a beer. I could talk for hours about my love of that franchise, but
Yeah.
we only have so much time.
I'll probably play some of this game since it is October. I'll try to play more horror games on stream.
I would
I
be
have
more than happy to join you. I can give you Resident Evil facts.
Yeah, so I'll probably play some other Resident Evil stuff on stream, things like that throughout the week. Because I've been busy. I've been playing Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. I got that.
Ooh,
Been playing that. Been streaming that a lot. Pretty
how's it
much.
back going?
Oh, it's fun. I like it. I can use a lot of improvements. But
Sure.
I'll talk about that stuff like tomorrow probably.
Nice.
Kind of give a more detailed kind of thing about talking about Nickelodeon All Star Brawl there. But hey, this is a good show. Good talking about James Bond there. No Time to
Mm-hmm.
Die. Good talking about What If season finale. Next up after What If, Disney Plus has the Hawkeye series. It's coming out in November, so they got that coming
Ready for
up.
Christmas.
Yep. Shane Black kind of feel of a TV show there with Hawkeye. So pretty nice. So we're going to be talking about that when that comes out. That's the next big Disney Plus show that's going to be coming out. Also, the next big kind of Disney Marvel movie coming out is Eternals. That's also coming out in November. Going to be talking about
Yeah.
that. So that's coming out pretty soon, just a few weeks from now.
Yeah.
Cause
It's like having almost no hype for it.
yeah, and it's pretty long too. They said it's like the longest one since Endgame, so it's the longest one they've done since Endgame. So, like it's like 2 hours 40 plus. So, yeah, I'm gonna be in that theater for a minute watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good people. Thank you for all the people that came in the chat. Thank you, Javon Good, for coming by. Resident Evil Knowledge. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Silver Brand, for coming by. Nick, we're gonna be doing tomorrow. We're gonna be doing a show. Let's see, tomorrow 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be doing a show. We're going to be reviewing Lamb, the A24 horror movie. I'm going to be doing that. Nick's going to give his review of No Time to Die and also the What If season finale. We're also going to be reviewing Ted Lasso season 2.
Nice.
and doing that tomorrow, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be doing that. So make sure to check that out when we're streaming on Twitch. Make sure to check that out. Hey, if you want to check us out on all the socials, we are there. Instagram, Afternoon Tune. We on TikTok, Afternoon Tune. Don't worry, Instagram. We're there. You know what I mean. I know it shut down for a bit, but it's back up now, so you can go check us out there. We're also on Facebook at the Afternoon Tune. We're also on Twitter, Afternoon Tune there as well. Hey, if you want to send us an email with any comments, questions, or concerns, email us at theafternoontune@gmail.com. You can also check us out of course, on YouTube, youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. You already know how to do that good YouTube stuff. The like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff like that. Of course, we're streaming on Twitch, right? Twitch.tv/The Afternoon Tune. You can follow us there as well. Help us pump us up there. And we're also wherever you listen to podcasts, right? So we're Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor. With Apple Podcasts, you can also, if you can, give a 5-star review, leave a good review. That helps boost up the pod. That makes us look good. If you can, if you like what we do, support us there as well. So that's always awesome if you can do that. And yeah, hey, good talking to you people. Good show. Dusk, thanks for joining me, man.
No problem.
Yeah. So to all you good people out there, don't forget to always stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned.